Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel, Ek Kitab Se Ek Moti, which in English means a pearl or gem from one book. Today, I'm going to read a few lines from this great classic, Arnold Schwarzenegger's The New Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. Now, you might think that this is just about physical health, so how come I'm going to, talk about the power of the mind? I mean, that's what my thumbnail says. That this video is about the power of the mind. So there is a chapter on the power of mind in this great book. So I'm going to read a portion of it. Now in this incident that he describes, that Arnold Schwarzenegger describes, he's referring to his friend Franco Colombo, who passed away recently. I think he drowned while he was swimming, and he was physically very fit. He trained Sylvester Stallone for his Rocky movies and his Rambo movies. And I think Franco also trained Evander Holyfield, if I'm not wrong. I'm sorry, that was Lee Haney. So I'm going to make a video on Lee Haney as well, because I think Lee Haney is a gentleman, and he has combined these two aspects very beautifully. That is, having a good body and having a good mind and having a good spirit. So I'm going to make a video on Lee Haney some other day, but today it's from this book written by Arnold Schwarzenegger. So the title of this section is Breaking Barriers. When the going gets tough, it is always the mind that fails first, not the body. The best example of this I can think of occurred one day when Franco and I were doing squats in the old Gold's gym. Franco got under 500 pounds, squatted down and couldn't get back up. We grabbed the bar and helped him get it back on the rack. 500 pounds for even one rep was apparently just too much for him that day. So that day his body was kind of refusing to do certain things that maybe on other occasions he may have been able to do those things effortlessly, or at least not with much trouble. Just then 4 or 5 Italian American kids from New York came in. Now remember, Franco was an Italian. I think he was an Italian American, if I'm not mistaken. Just then 4 or 5 Italian American kids from New York came in. Wow, they said, there is Franco. Hey Franco. They were great fans and were looking forward to watching him work out. Only Franco had just failed in a lift, and it seemed probable that he would miss it again on the next try. I took Franco aside and told him, Franco, these guys think you are the king. You can't get under 500 pounds again and fail. Get under, in a sense, get under the bar. Like first they'll have to place their shoulder below the bar and then squat. And the other, I think they call it the spotter in the gym. I think the other guy might help them lift the bar from that holder or something. There is something to hold the bar actually. So there is a process. So he's talking about that squatting process. I took Franco aside and told him, Franco, these guys think you are the king. You can't get under 500 pounds again and fail. All of a sudden, his face changed. He looked at me with big eyes, realizing he was on the spot. Then he went out onto the street and spent a while psyching himself up, taking deep breaths and concentrating on the lift. He stalked back into the gym, grabbed the bar, and instead of the 6 reps, that is the repetitions, he was supposed to do with 500 pounds, he did 8 repetitions. Then he walked away coolly as if it were nothing. Obviously, Franco's muscles didn't get any stronger in those few minutes between sets. His tendons didn't get bigger, so there was no physical change in him. What did change was his mind, his drive and motivation, his desire for the goal. It was impossible to overlook how important the mind was in making the body do what he wanted. So this is the passage for this video. So let's just analyze the situation. Now, Franco was finding it difficult to squat with a weight of 500 pounds. And then suddenly a few Italian Americans came, and they were kind of looking at Franco with admiration. They were his fans. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger took Franco aside and kind of told him that, his fans were there, and it was important for him to display his strength in front of them. That is, he couldn't fail, and kind of discourage or maybe disappoint those kids, those Italian American kids. So he encouraged him, and then Franco kind of took a few deep breaths, and he psyched himself up, and he also concentrated on the lift. And then he entered the gym again, and he was able to do the squats, 6 repetitions using the 500 pound weight. So he was successful in what he was trying to do that day. And Arnold analyzes the situation and says that his body hadn't become any stronger during that time. It was his mind, his drive, and motivation, and his desire for the achievement of that goal. So that's why the mind is extremely important in many situations. So it's not that, just because we have a strong mind, we would be suddenly, we would suddenly get all the power to lift 1,000 pounds. That's not what he's trying to say. But within the limits of our physical capacity, sometimes because of mental weakness, we are unable to do certain things that we should be able to do using the resources that we possess at the moment. So what we can gather from this incident is that we may possess all the resources to do certain tasks. We may have all the knowledge, all the physical resources, mental resources, spiritual resources to accomplish a task. But if we are weak in the mind, we might not be able to use those resources on that given day. So that's why it's very important to strengthen your mind daily. That's why positive suggestions, positive self-talk, these things work, because they let you know of what resources you possess, and then they allow you to use them effectively in accomplishing your tasks. Now, one of the best examples to illustrate this idea is Arjun in the Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna was ready for the battle, and he was willing to fight against the sons of Dhritarashtra, the Kauravas, and he was quite excited about that encounter, because now was the time to take revenge and avenge all those indignities and insults that the Kauravas had hurled against the Pandavas. That is, Arjuna was also a Pandav. So this was a moment that Arjuna was waiting for. But then when he was in the battlefield, he saw all these relatives of his gurus, his teachers, and people who were related to him in different ways. And then his body started shaking, and his bow and arrow, his bow started slipping from his hands. So although possessing all the strength, all the energy, all the ability to fight that battle, he was unable to carry on with that fight because his mind became weak. He started looking at his relatives, and he was kind of overwhelmed with emotion. And because he thought the body was the spirit, he thought now he was going to destroy all these bodies that he was fond of. So he would have to kill his master, he would have to kill his great Bhishma. He would have to kill Bhishma Pitama, who was his favorite uncle, he was the great grandfather, I guess. So he was unable to make his body do the things which his body could do on a normal occasion. So what was the difference? The difference was that his mind had become weak on that occasion. So that's when Sri Krishna tells this to Arjuna. So this is, I think Swami Vivekananda considered this the essential message of the Gita. And if anyone is able to digest this and totally absorb this message and carry it out into practice, he or she has really got the entire thing from the Bhagavad Gita. So this is what Krishna tells him. How hath this weakness taken thee? How has this weakness completely overpowered you? Whence springs the inglorious trouble, shameful to the brave, barring the path of virtue? That is, being weak when you're facing a difficult situation it bars the path of virtue. So being virtuous also means that we should have the ability to do the things we ought to do, regardless of the situation, regardless of the fact whether we are facing troubles in life, financial troubles, discouragement, bereavement. It might be anything, but we need to do our duty. What we ought to do, we ought to do. I mean, there can be no excuses for not doing any task. Nay, Arjun, forbid thyself to feebleness. It mars thy warrior name. Cast off the coward fit. Wake, be thyself, arise, scourge of the foes. So Sri Krishna was encouraging Arjuna to be what he was. That is, this is what Arnold Schwarzenegger told Franco, that, now the Italian American kids were looking up to him, and they were kind of looking at him with admiration and were expecting a good lift from Franco. So Arnold was kind of infusing him with positive thoughts and encouragement. That's what Sri Krishna was doing to Arjuna. He was telling him that cowardice did not befit him, like it was inappropriate for him. It did not suit his personality. Similarly, when we face a difficult situation, we should tell others. I mean, let's say one of our friends is unable to cope with a situation. So that is when we should tell them that they have all the resources to handle that situation. It's just sleeping, or they're just not making use of those resources because of a mental weakness. And through encouragement and positive thoughts and positive feedback, people should be able to gather all their resources, marshal all their abilities, and then tackle the problem that they're facing. I think it was Swami Ranganathanan who said that, whenever you come across someone who's discouraged, just tell them what they are capable of, and then they should be able to kind of handle that situation on their own. So we shouldn't handhold others too much or spoon feed them too much. Just let them know that they have all the resources to tackle the situation, and they should be able to handle that situation on their own. So let me just recapitulate. So you too can buy this if you're interested in bodybuilding, but not necessarily bodybuilding. I mean, if you just like lifting weights and you want to know about the world of bodybuilding, you can buy this and read this often. And there are a lot of things on positive thinking as well in this, how to achieve our goals, how to set goals, and so on, other than the physical fitness part. So here is the recapitulation or a summary of what we discussed. So when the going gets tough, the tough get going, as the saying goes. So when you are in a difficult situation, just remind yourself of what you are capable of. Just take a few deep breaths and give yourself some positive feedback that you can do what you are at the moment unable to do because of some weakness of your mind, and just to keep reminding yourself that you possess all the resources that have been given to you by God, and with those resources you'll be able to tackle any situation, any problem. Sometimes you might not be able to change the situation, because if it's a bereavement, how do I change the situation? That's a fact. But you'll be able to strengthen and toughen your mind to handle that situation, and that's what living is all about. Certain situations we can change, certain situations we cannot change, and then we also need the wisdom to differentiate the two, right? I mean, there is a famous quotation on that as well. So we should be able to know what we can change in our lives, and then we should go ahead and change them. Then we should also decide or analyze the situation and think whether that situation can be changed through human effort or not. If it cannot, then we'll have to endure that. And that's when our tough mindset helps. There is a famous book by Norman Vincent Peale. It's called The Tough-Minded Optimist. So you need to be tough-minded as well. So I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching.